this video starts, I just want to say a big thank you to all of the people who support me over on Patreon, and a special thanks to my boyfriend and best friend tier supporters on Patreon. I'm going to have their names scrolling on the screen here, but thank you so much. I couldn't be doing this without you guys, and if you're not a Patreon supporter already, you can find the information in my description of this video and go check out what we've got on there. But yeah, anyway, there's lots of stuff. I hope you like it. Maybe. Whatever. Anyway, I will see you guys. Enjoy the video. We're standing up today. It's gonna be fun. Okay. Bye. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my room and to my channel. So today is Sunday, so that means Sunday Scaries, and I don't know if you can tell, but my background has changed a little bit, and we are not sitting down. This is like the first time I've not sat in like a regular video, but we are reading a scary story tonight, and this one is a bit like relevant to me. It's about being a lifeguard, but it's kind of a weird one, so I thought it was cool. I started reading another one, and it was very much so obvious that it was probably written by AI, so I did stop reading that one. But I don't know, maybe this one was too. At this point we're getting to the point where we can't tell, but which is very annoying to me because I feel like I haven't really heard many like scary stories that give me that same vibe that I used to get when I used to listen to like true scary stories on YouTube. I feel like they're losing their authenticity a little bit, so that's annoying. But anyway, let's get into this one. I'm gonna move my light really quick. Alright, so this one is called I'm a Lifeguard at a Public Pool Deep in the Heart of a Strange Forest. I protect people from more than just drowning. And it's by the _scared_ scholar. And it's on r/scary stories. It starts, okay, here's how you get there. Take Highway 101 down past Beaver until you see the hand-painted sign that says cherries. Ignore the snaggletooth man in overalls standing next to it. Do not, under any circumstances, buy anything that he's selling. They're not cherries. Make a left on the road underneath the sign. If you can't see it at first, that's fine. It won't look like a road until you're on it. Take that path till it turns to gravel, then hang the third left. Ignore your phone when it tells you to turn back. Don't bother putting it on mute. That never works. Stay on that track till it turns to dirt, and make the 5th right. Be careful not to take the 4th right. The house at the end of the road is definitely owned by an axe murderer. Old shack in the middle of nowhere, ivy and spiderwebs all over the roof and eaves. They've been after him for years. There's just never been enough evidence to convict. For the rest of the way, keep your windows rolled up and ignore the voices that sound like your loved ones. Try not to look out the side of the windows too, or else you might see them peeking in at you. Don't stop to give anyone a ride, no matter how much they ask. Stay the course. Ignore how thick the trees are becoming, and you'll be there. Mirror Forest Pool. You won't miss it. I'm not talking about some hidden mountain lake. I'm talking about a pool. A paved, parking, sunscreen saturated public pool. I'm Luke the lifeguard. I work at the pool. Technically, this public amenity where I am employed is part of the local national park, but it's not connected to any cabin system, hotel, or campground in the area. In fact, it's miles away from any sort of humanity at all. If you saw it, you would think it looks like any other everyday, average, middle class outdoor community pool, except for the fact that it's in the middle of the goddamn wilderness. Even though it's outdoors, it's open all year round. As a kid, my parents would take me in the winter as a treat. We were poor and couldn't afford much. At the pool, it could be snowing just outside the fence, but inside the property, it always felt like a toasty 80-degree day. At the time, I just thought they had really good space heaters. The pool itself had 3 sections: a shallow end, a deep end, and a middle connector. Sometimes the shallow and deep ends switch places. We always take a few minutes to check which end is which when we open. That way we can close the sliding diving boards until they switch back. A lifeguard forgot to do that one time, and an old guy broke his neck when he dove off the diving board into a shallow foot of water. His wife tried to sue, but it was hard to explain to the judge the whole deep to shallow situation. I think she ended up dropping the case. 2 sides of the pool are surrounded by an L-shaped building. The other 2 sides are covered by a chain link fence. In the L building are 2 locker rooms, a front desk, an office, and a boiler room that's locked all times. No one is allowed inside, even though that's where the chemical works at, or where the chemical works are. Rick, my coworker, thinks it's becoming something, or it's because something lives in there. His money is on the safety inspector. I don't know about that. Last week I did see a set of eyes peeking out the ventilation slats at me. Might have been a trick of the light, but I swear it had glowing red pupils. Stan, our safety man, has eyes that are a nice hazel. If the pH ever goes out of whack, we just run the hose until it hits a toasty 7 on our little tester vial. Okay, side note, that's kind of funny because, first of all, what is a toasty 7? And second of all, we usually kept our pool at like 7.5 is like good. So I don't think that's low, but it's weird. Anyway, outside of the pool, there's a small playground outside for dry fun. At least that's what it says on the brochure. What the brochure doesn't advertise is that if you go into the crawly tube between the structures, you hear a little kid voice ask, "Can you find me?" and then start counting down from 30. Most people leave the park at that point, but one of the other coworkers, Vince, stayed until the end of the countdown. Wanted to do an experiment. The police found his body parts shoved into a hollow support tube 3 days later. Never did they find his head. Well, that happened about a month ago. The boss said construction crews were too expensive, so we just had to clean things out as best we could. The park was ready for auction a week later. We did put caution tape up on the crawly tube though, just in case, and I'm happy to report there haven't been any more incidents. Well, in the park at least. You would think with all the weirdness going on, we would be struggling to make ends meet, but we always seem to have steady business. We're cheap. Ain't no way else to say it. We pass out a lot of free swim coupons at the Fred Meyers. I guess people are desperate for any kind of affordable pool, even ones in the middle of nowhere. This summer, we got the usual crowds: teenagers, stay-at-home moms, kids hyped up on their first snort of summer vacation. We also got some less ordinary people as well. There was this one guy. He would always show up Thursdays, 12 p.m. on the dot. He was real thin and kind of lanky. He had a huge smile and freaky wide eyes. He paid his $4.50 admission and would go to the locker room. 10 minutes later, he'd be out on the pool deck. He'd circle the water's edge 2 times. He'd go real slow, making eye contact with any patron that would look back. Sometimes he waved at the kids. I don't think I ever saw him blink. After his circling, he'd get in line for the diving board. When it was his turn, he'd jump once, twice, and 3. That's against the rules. Anyway, sorry. When it was his turn, he'd jump once, twice, and 3 times. He'd head over heels, or he'd turn head over heels in the air and dive in hard with hardly a splash, and then he'd never come back up. For the rest of the day, he would just lay on the bottom of the pool, motionless. Well, I'd blow my whistle at that point because I feel like he was drowning. First time I saw that, I freaked out and almost jumped in and everything, but luckily Rick stopped before I made a scene. I'd probably fire that guy if he didn't jump in. Anyway, he does that all the time. He told me later in the break room he'll be back next week. I wasn't so sure. His body stayed at the bottom of the pool for the rest of the day. When we closed up the front desk and ran the pool covers, I could still... Guys. I'm gonna shut this pool down. No, you're not tarping over the guy at the bottom of the pool. When we closed up the front desk and ran the pool covers, I could see him slowly drifting into the middle of the deep end. His eyes were open and he still had that big, toothy smile. It reminded me of a shark. When I came to open the next morning, he had vanished. Next Thursday, he was back at the front desk again, ready to pay admission. I don't know what the patrons thought, but none of the regulars batted an eye. Occasionally, you'd get the newcomer who would nervously point out the body at the bottom of the pool, but we just stick to protocol, inform them that everything's fine, and to repeat Rule 7 to them. Rule 7. Do not talk or interact in any way with the Thursday diver. Believe it or not, Rule 7's pretty important. Just last week, we had an Olympic swimmer from out of state come in and see the Thursday diver's whole routine. Rick and I didn't see what happened next, so the best we can guess is that that Mr. Olympic thought Mr. Thursday needed a rescue and dove in. His hand was gripping the Olympic swimmer's ankle. It was a bit of a tug of war to get him loose. When we finally got the foot away, the Thursday diver didn't do anything. He just kept peacefully drifting in the deep end, eyes still wide open and mouth smiling. Most pools get away with having one rule sign. Ours takes up 2 entire walls. It also has an asterisk at the end informing the public that if they want the full rules, they'll need to visit the front desk for the binder. I'm not sure why anyone would want to swim at such a strict pool, but I guess that's why our admission is so cheap. There's a lot of other weird rules in the binder, like making sure the locker rooms are locked from 4 to 5 p.m. every Sunday to avoid escapees. And after every 5th person uses the water slide, we need to send down a bag of sand. I learned my lesson the hard way with the last one. I was 3 weeks in, manning the slide, and the 5th kid had just gone down. I was getting the bag of sand ready when the 6th kid pushed past me and raced up the steps. I tried to tell him to stop, but he just stuck his tongue out at me and threw himself in the entrance. He never came out the other side. There was a full investigation into his disappearance, but there weren't any charges. There was no evidence we had kidnapped him or done anything else. After all, there was no body, no blood. It was like the kid had ceased to exist. I think they found him a month later in the desert. He survived, barely. The article I read claimed he kept babbling about some cosmic highway where he was trapped for 1,000 years. Apparently his pupils and hair had also turned shock white. That's kind of cool. Not sure I believe the eye thing. It felt like the news people were just having fun with the whole situation. Our rule binder is bursting at the seams because the boss loves making new rules. It's basically half his job. He stays cooped up in his office, paying bills and coming up with pool guidelines. None of us ever see him leave his little room. He's always the first there and the last to leave. We even have a special intercom that he uses to communicate with us. He never opens that door. The pool could be burning, and I don't think he'd even peek his head out to see where the smoke's coming from. Take the 4th of July incident, for example. We were in the middle of the holiday weekend rush, and it was a doozy. The pool was packed to the gills with all sorts of people. Sunscreen was so thick in the air, opening your mouth would turn your tongue white. We were understaffed with only the 4 of us lifeguards, and it was a 3-guard rotation. I was barely keeping up with all the little kids throwing themselves into the deep end with the passion of suicide bombers. I finally got my 15, and you better believe I hauled ass to the break room. I think less a room and more of a repurposed closet. I remember checking the time. It was 3:55. I turned on a fan. We don't have AC in there, and stood in front of it for a hot second to relax. The clock ticked to 3:56 p.m. and everything went quiet. Where there had been about 10,000 kids and adults screaming at the top of their lungs, there was immediate silence. I thought I was losing my hearing. I snapped my fingers a few times, and when my ears didn't even seem to be the problem, I went outside to see what was going on. The pool was empty. The lifeguards were standing around blinking like they weren't sure what they were looking at. We combed the entire area over, the locker rooms, the park, even the cupboard under the front desk. Nothing. All our patrons had just vanished. We mentioned this to our boss, and he said probably went home for the fireworks. It was stupid hot that day, so maybe it was just a hallucination, but Rick swore he saw what happened. According to him, everything slowed down and got real still. Then, one by one, everyone jumped into the pool, and they dunked their heads all at the same time. They just then dissolved layer by layer like they were in acid. Skin, muscle, organs, bones, then nothing. I have my doubts about that story. Rick loves pulling legs, and none of the other guards saw what he did. What I will say is Rick had some dark circles under his eyes the entire next week. I don't think the poor guy was sleeping. Now, don't get me wrong, Mirror Forest Pool is not a terrible place. It's an adequate pool as far as pools go, but on top of that, there's nostalgia here. It's like all the essence of summer is infused into the air itself. Each breath feels like a step back in time. I just graduated high school, but working here I feel like I'm back in elementary school, throwing all my papers and cheering as I hear the school bell ringing for the last time. It's kind of addicting. I get that. When you get here, you'll understand what I mean. You've got the directions. Feel free to stop by. We're open Monday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Tell the guy at the front desk that you know Luke, and he'll give you a 50% discount on admission. Make sure you remember what I said about the overall guy with the cherries. That's important, and even if the voice of your own mother begs you for a ride on the road, don't open that door unless you want to see your face up on the missing person board at Walmart. We lost Claire that way. As for me, I'll keep you all posted on any new rules. Wow, that was really good. That was very good. I'm getting like Welcome to Night Vale vibes. Big fan of Night Vale. I will say, working at a pool, like, some of that was very realistic. And some of it was not. But there was one part about, like, I don't know, honestly, some really weird things were accurate to my experience, but I won't mention that. But there's some things that I just won't mention. But anyway, it was slightly accurate. Why am I feeling like there's like hair on my hands? Well, there is, but not like hair. Anyway, you got it. I hope you enjoyed that story. I had fun reading it to you. Kind of weird standing and doing this, but nevertheless. Also, this light is like